And then I feel that when you listen attentively and actively to your partner, you pick on things that they themselves, they are not even realizing that they are telling you.
True.
And you are able to say, this person, he's tired, he's stressed. Like, are you happily married, single and searching, or single and not searching? You're in the right space. We're all students of life, and we're here to celebrate and explore the secrets of long-lasting relationships and marriages.
In each episode, we dive deep into topics like communication, family dynamics, parenting, finances, health, and wellness.
Join us on this exciting journey as we create stronger, healthier, and more fulfilling relationships, one episode at a time. Welcome to Life on Stereo. Hello, lifers. Welcome to Life on Stereo. We are your host, Judith.
And Kingsley.
And we are excited to come your way once again with another episode of this podcast. Yes,
it's been a while,
it's been a long while. We know, but thankfully we're back. Okay, we're back. This is called Life on Stereo. Okay, so you guys know is it the Gen Zs or what?
Yeah,
Gen Zs. They'll be saying life be lifing. Okay, life be lifing. So give us grace, pray for us, and we'll keep it going. So before, it's been a while, right? And we just want to give maybe some context. Of course, before the summer break, we were already, feeling a little worn out here and there. There was so much to do. And then the summer break came along and came back from summer break. And have you guys had a vacation or, taking out time to be with the family? And after the vacation is over, you actually feel more tired.
More tired than even
especially with small kids, it can get really tiring. So it has been a while, but we are revving to get in the zone again. So that even is like how do I put it, an introduction to what we are talking about today. We are talking about stress today.
Right. It has been a lot of stress, that's for sure.
Massive stress. So I just thought that it would be good to talk about it because it's a real part of life and most of us encounter it in one form or the other. And stress has a way of, taking a toll on relationships. So that is what we are talking about today. And we want you guys to be interactive. We want you guys to send in your comments. Let this family and let this community be more interactive. We would love to read your comments. We'd love to hear your suggestions, your questions, and all that you have to say. So what do we think, when we talk about stress, especially when it comes to relationships, what are some of the things that can be top stresses for marriages and relationships?
Obviously, there's I think we all know what stress is. I do want to start off. I mean, I know there's two kinds of stress, which is distress and eustress, which I was at a presentation and they did clarify that to mean that kind of stress that an athlete goes through on the day they are to perform at the Olympics. That's eustress. So it's positive kind of stress that tends to make their muscles beef up and then get ready. The body uses that to get ready for performance. So that's positive stress. Obviously, that's not what we are referring to now. The kind of stress that really has a negative toll on the body.
Yes.
And I think we need to also start by saying that it is very important that people in relationships really don't live in denial when it comes to stress. Because if you think you're the strongest and you are never stressed and so on, but in actual sense you are, that's already a big
because I think yesterday I was trying to ask you or sort of draw your attention to the fact that we have to be present with ourselves, to know when you're feeling not okay, you're feeling stressed, and sometimes if you don't reel it back to really see, like, how am I feeling in this moment? How am I doing?
Yeah.
Mentally, psychologically, like, emotionally, physically, how am I doing? Then it might take you by surprise. Like
that is
yesterday,
true,
I
yeah.
was listening to one man, and then he was saying that in 2014, like he had been going, there was a lot he was handling, and then all of a sudden he had a panic attack, and he himself was so surprised because he was
Right.
like, no, I'm not depressed or anything, he's good. But then it caught him by surprise because there was so much going on, and he wasn't taking time to, sort of like be present and say, like, how am I doing? Like, there's a lot going, and most of the times there are good things going.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's what can, like, maybe blind us
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
how the body is feeling. I think some time ago you were like, as soon as you get on the bed, you fall asleep. Like,
Yeah.
before you realize, you fall asleep. And it's like, I think that is one of the ways the body can even prompt
It's
you
a
that
signal,
I
yeah,
need
that you're
I
really
need
tired.
rest.
Yeah.
I need some
Yeah.
rest.
Yeah.
So okay. So that is like on the more physical side, right?
Yeah.
So what are some of the other what are some of the top stresses in relationship? Maybe the first thing that you said, what did you say?
No, I
didn't
didn't
mention one?
mention any of them,
Okay.
but I think we can start with financial stress.
Okay.
Well, that's an
Yeah,
obvious.
because yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
That one is on both individual and personal level, and like relationships as well.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And that, you know, it's really has a huge thing to do with the mind, because when there's a lot of financial insecurities or financial issues, huge debt, and so on, it tends to, for men or for some people, it tends to really have an impact on their ego, which then becomes an issue, a mental health issue for them. For some people, it could be the men or women.
Yeah.
But in most situations, women also want, finances is, a way that most people feel secured, and it's for men as well. Men feel really secured when the finances are really good. So when it starts from there, then and I feel this myself. Like, I'll tell you, that's like one of the main things that stresses me. And it's not like I'm being stressed because there's no money or stuff like that, but sometimes I'm just forecasting way ahead into the future. I've made like a 5-year, 10-year plan. And then I know, okay, I want to achieve this. I want to be able to acquire this in the next couple of years. The moment I make that plan, which is a good thing, then it starts to stress me out. Then I'm like, oh, it looks like I'm not really
How do
on
I get it
target.
done?
I
Yeah,
need to,
like
get this done. And that long-term planning that started off as a really positive thing,
now
and
it's
now
becoming the
starts to
source.
become a stressor
Yeah.
in the relationship. So, I mean, financial stress is like, yeah, it's a huge one. Yeah.
Just to say, maybe we're just gonna mix it up, and it is what it is.
Yeah.
Like,
We just go.
like for instance, like this thing that you're talking about, like financial stress, and then you have a plan.
Yeah.
One partner in the relationship has a plan, and then you're getting stressed, and it's like, I don't know what is happening. Like, I don't know what's happening. Like,
Right.
I thought we're good. Like, I know we're good. So you have something in mind, and then it's stressing you, and then you are acting it out. And sometimes the funny thing is, we are stressed and we are acting it out and we don't even know, but our partner is saying that no, something is going on here.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then because you don't tell your partner what you are thinking, you don't make a headway.
Yeah,
You don't make a headway.
and I have obviously I've had challenges with that,
Yeah, but you're getting better. Like,
yeah,
it's way better now. Yeah.
because the what I have been used to, especially, I mean, we've been married over 5 years, getting 6 years, but I have lived, by myself
Yes.
for quite a
The
while.
greater time
Yeah.
part of your life. Yeah.
So I have gotten accustomed to, dealing with my financial stresses, dealing with my other kinds of stresses myself. And I mean, a part of it is also, kind of a masculine thing and a cultural thing where I'm coming from, where you you deal with your stuff. Literally have proverbs in our language. That's, all points to say. For example, there's one that says that when the gun fires is on the chest of a man or something like that.
Lands on
Lands on
man's
a
chest.
man's chest. And then when there's one that says that
It's a bemabo.
it also to a trebe madam is so it's everything has been culturally has been made to say, okay, the man, be a man, like stand up, don't why are you really going to share this with someone else? Deal with it yourself. And I think that it doesn't help in relationships, in marriages, and any kind of relationship. It's not the best. Because the moment I realize that when I tell you, I want to do A, B, C, D, and in order to do A, B, C, D, I need to take this kind of approach to do it. Because you know about it and you support it, it takes a lot of burden off my shoulders. Like, I know you are in support of it.
To be honest, like, sometimes having everything in here really stresses you out.
It does.
But then when you have an outlet, like someone you can share with, I always say there's this saying that if you don't have anyone to talk to, there are pastors who would readily talk to you for free. And then you have a listening ear. Or there are even counselors and therapists you can pay to talk to you. Because sometimes everything is here and the mind is just constantly working.
Right.
And you're stressed. But sometimes you realize that even when you talk to someone, then the connections are being made. I remember when I was doing my thesis, right? And it's like, I'm really stressed. Really, really stressed. And every time I talk to my supervisor, it's like things become clearer. Because I talk to her, and it's not like she's spoon feeding you the decisions, because they teach us to think critically. But it's like when you are letting someone else in on what is in your mind, then the connections are coming out. It's like a drawing board. The person is saying, oh, have you seen this?
Right.
Because the person is looking on as an observer and seeing that maybe there is a connection here, and throwing questions at you to help you like navigate the thoughts in your mind. So I think that one, you mentioned financial stress or financial pressures, and then also like lack of communication, which I mentioned. Like, if we don't talk to our partners, if we don't express what we are feeling,
that's a key one.
Really, like and then of course there are other external stresses. For instance, like if it's a marriage relationship, clearly kids have a way of stressing us, especially, well, I would dare say like kids of all ages and ranges.
Every stage comes with its own like, challenges and hurdles to and then I mean, for me, especially with the first one, there's so many things that we tend to stress about. For example, a funny one. So this turned out not to be a big deal, but when our first daughter, was growing up, so she was like almost, I think she was a year old, and had no tooth in her mouth. So this is a funny one, right? And we had other, friends with kids who were like 6 months old, 5 months, had like 4 in their mouth. Some had like 6, 8, when they're like 8 months and so on. And ours had 0, right? I was a little bit relieved because my mom had told me that when I was a baby,
that did help.
My teeth started coming out after I was quite later, even way after 1 year. But still, it was kind of like, is my daughter going to have teeth at all? And I mean, just so you know, now her mouth is full. But then it started coming. And it turned out not to be a big deal. So
not at all.
By just talking about it, talking to, asking my mom about it, like I just asked her, I didn't even say it was in relation to my daughter. I was like, how was my teething like? And then she, shed some light on that. That already, was a good outlet. It just released that kind of stress, which was really not a big deal.
Yeah, so that draws my mind to the fact that sometimes comparison can stress you out. Like,
that's huge, yeah.
You realize that sometimes in life, you as a person, you're making progress.
Yeah.
You're making progress. It may not be at the pace that you want, but you realize that when you sit down, you're thankful and you're content that I am not where I started from.
Yeah.
I have come this far. I have come a long way. But then the moment you start comparing yourself with other people, you're like, oh my word, this person is way. Like, I don't know, especially with social media, it tends to be quite a lot.
I tell you, yeah.
Like the mental stress when you go to like social media, and then sometimes you're doing good.
Yeah.
Like mentally you're doing good. Maybe in your career you're doing good. In your finances, you are okay.
Yeah.
You are not owing anyone.
No.
That alone is a great place to be. You're not owing anyone. You're making small strides here and there. But then you go to social media and people are mind you, social media is well constructed.
Yeah.
Everything people put out there, they decide on what to show you and what not to show you.
Exactly. And it's polished and it's
camera ready. Okay.
Exactly.
Someone said that sometimes people come on like podcasts and shows like, and then maybe, for instance, maybe the person is crying, and then you are thinking, is this crying premeditated or not? Because you took your time, you set up your cameras, you set up your lights, maybe your script or something, and then you came to sit down, and then you're not gonna. Of course, that is like just a joke.
Yeah.
But of course, people do get emotional on in conversations and all that. Yeah. So that's just by the way. So comparison, like external things, like comparing yourself to people, comparing where people are in the same career, in the same, education or whatever, the same level or status in life, it takes out, it steals your joy.
It does.
It begins to stress you out.
Yeah, and this cannot be stressed enough. People have different trajectories. People have different paths.
Tell me about that.
And I mean, myself, I used to have this kind of stress as well. And I mean, I'm going to be open and honest. At a point in time, so after my bachelor's, I just got a job in the industry. I mean, I started working, right? And that was it. But then I go on LinkedIn and then I see some of my mates like MSc bagged, MBA bagged, PhD bagged. I'm like,
Yeah.
But then for all you know, maybe someone is also looking at me, this guy is in the industry, I want to be in it. So it's like some people would go and get those further education and get into the industry or get into academia afterwards. That's their path. My path is so I've been out of school for 11 years now, and I've been in the industry for 10 years. So already I have 10 years of working experience, which is my path. I can take the time to do the academics and so on. So like people, I just had to understand that we are all on different paths. We may cross paths sometimes, but we are not all going to exactly the same place, in terms of in our plans and so on. So that should already alleviate some of those stresses, no comparison. And this even comparing kids also stresses kids quite a lot.
It stresses especially when the kids grow a little and they get to, really understand language, understand like verbal and non-verbal cues, even non-verbal cues.
Exactly.
They pick up on it. They pick up on how maybe you're reacting to one child and you're reacting to the other child, and they see, maybe you're not pleased with me, maybe you're not proud of me in that way.
And you'll be surprised how even very little ones, how like a 2-year-old or a 3-year-old can say, you are being extra nice to my sister or my brother and not me.
Not me.
So even kids are able to see that comparing. And we have faced some of these. Some of us have faced it, where you see like your auntie or your mom or your dad or someone comparing you to your friend who he or she thinks is a really, obedient child, or is a really, down to earth person, or better in a certain way, and that doesn't help. So these stresses are things that we really need to pay attention to.
So again, I feel that from time to time, self-assessment, self-evaluation. Recently, I started something like called silent moments. So I just like want to tune out everything, every sound. Just be silent. Sometimes I had one man say that sometimes people are afraid of their own thoughts, and I can understand. Sometimes you can go into a spiral and just be thinking and going to. But one way, if you surround yourself with the word of God, you're in a safe place, and you pray, you're in a safe place, and then you are just silent, and then you see the things that are coming to you in that silent moment. You can be so still, be quiet, and be still in your heart. Then you see that, like, one, calmness is coming to you.
Inner peace
Inner peace. And sometimes clarity.
Okay.
And then sometimes clarity in the sense that as you're quiet, you tend to see what's important to you. Priorities, you can shift your priorities and set your priorities right. But you need that calmness. You need that calmness. And the more you do it, the better you become at it. When you try it at first, it's like, I can't stay calm. Like, you're jittery, especially when it comes to social media and this thing.
I tell you,
this thing.
It's a whole beast on its own.
It's a whole distraction on its own.
Yeah.
But if you take time for yourself and just be calm, just be quiet, just be still, and stay in tune. What is in your mind? What is on your heart? Even, and see what is important to you. So I want us to talk about like how we can deal with some of these stresses in relationships, in marriage. We talked about financial stress, dealing with kids, or other external stresses. So what is maybe one way that we can deal with this stress? I would start, if you don't mind.
Yeah, go ahead.
I would say that, for instance, let's use ourselves as a point of contact when it comes to this, like even this podcast. Within the last year, we have been extremely
busy or stressed.
Maybe not stressed every day. But then
lots
really
to do.
Engaged. There is so much to do. Sometimes you feel like there isn't enough time to do all of it. But one reason why we didn't rush back to this podcast, because we were like, it can wait. It can wait.
It can.
So sometimes prioritize and know the things that can wait. Some things cannot wait. Time spent with your family, sometimes it can't wait. Time spent with your kids, it cannot wait. And maybe if you put them in priority, for instance, both you and I were schooling. I'm schooling full-time, working part-time. You're working full-time, you're schooling part-time, taking care of kids, business, so many things. But then you're like, okay, what is important right here? In this season, what can I take out just so I can get just a little bit of respite? So I think that as a couple, from time to time, you sit down, you look at your schedule, your calendar. What is on our plate right now? What can we lay down right now so that we can have a little bit of room and wiggle room, So it's important that as a married couple, or even as people in relationship, no matter the stage of the relationship, always from time to time, check in on each other. What are we doing? What is on your plate? What do you have for the next 3 months? What are some of the major things you feel you need to do? You can't go around in the next 3 months. What do I have to do? So that I can also make an adjustment to make sure that what is priority is being taken care of.
Exactly. Right? So it's important to be on the same page when it comes to priorities. And I know that, people tend to, prioritize by just thinking about, I need to do this, that, and that. But if there's a lot of things to be done, sometimes you need to actually put pen on paper
You have to.
or
It's
type
magic.
it out, like write it down. I need to, these are the things I need to take care of.
Yeah.
Which of them is an absolute, must that I do
Yeah.
now?
Yeah.
Then you start to weigh out the pros and cons. If I drop this, what's going to be, the repercussions, or what's the consequence of leaving this and postponing it to about a year? And then by doing that together, because when you don't do it together, when we do it together, then I know that, okay, so for you and I, for example, because I have my YouTube channel, we have this podcast as well. So, I mean, we shoot the podcast together. So that means that when I'm making my plan, we need to make sure that the podcast shooting day is the same for both of us. So we are planning things together, and that already is taking away some stress. Because then we'll make adjustments in our lives to be able to, support each other. So in a couple situation, I think managing stress really boils down to being on the same page when it comes to prioritizing and offering support for each other. Yeah.
Support is important in relationships. Like, even when you're married, sometimes you need a bigger circle of support.
Yep.
Apart from your spouse, maybe there are one or two friends you trust that they can be an outlet.
That helps,
Sometimes,
yeah.
you can be around them, that environment, that healthy. They have to be a healthy place to
Yeah,
be,
you
so
need
that
to
it's not
pick wisely,
worsening your situation. So just be around them, just conversations that add to your life, like conversations that free your mind. It's fun to be around them. It's great to be around. It's not that they are always funny, but they are good people to be around, good people to think through things with, to talk to have conversations with, and just take off some stress and some steam. Really,
Now, having a community is like very, very, very
really
important.
is. It really
It's I know we are supposed to be each other's best friends and so on. So sometimes people tend to be like, when we are married, we become an island, and then there's no one around us, right? So I sometimes the guy stuff tends to shield the wife from others, and vice versa. But it's really wrong. It's like, you need other people. Of course, you're mindful of your boundaries. So setting boundaries is very important in managing these things as well. Because by even discussing certain things with other people, you might end up stressing yourself a lot more. So you have to have that community. Know what you're discussing with them. Know what you can lean on them for. Make sure that it's not something that is really coming back to bite you and the relationship that you're currently in. And by all means, be on one page.
So like you rightly said, like when it comes to the couples themselves and between the two, like picking on cues. Sometimes your partner is stressed, but they are not saying it out.
Right.
And one thing is, when you spend time together, quality time, and it's something we can definitely do better, as like if we are spending time. There are times where like we are talking for a long time and there is no TV, no phones, nothing. Like we are just sitting there and then
chatting,
we are just talking. And then I feel that when you listen attentively and actively to your partner, you pick on things that they are not even realizing that they are telling you.
True.
And you are able to say, this person, he's tired, he's stressed. Like, what can I do to help if I can? Like, can I make a few adjustments here and there so that they feel less stressed? So that is like the art of like, picking on silent cues, knowing your
very
partner over
important,
time. And I feel that, please, let's get to know ourselves really in depth. Really. And another thing is, outside like the two of you, because there are times that the partner that you want to share it with, he himself, he's stressed. And that's where the external support comes into play
as well.
Because you want to share this thing with your partner, or you want to offload, but this partner right now is more stressed than you. But you also need that. And that's where your external support system comes to play. So it's quite important. So, and we want to know what you guys like do to relieve stress in your marriages and in your relationship.
Let's learn from each other.
What do you do? I want like the parents, if you are a parent with young kids and they're stressing you out, how do you deal with that? And as a couple, how do you deal with stress in your relationships? We really want to know, and we'll be excited to know your comments.
I think it's been a wonderful discussion. Let's continue the conversation in the chat section. Let's let your comments come in. Let's keep talking. And I think this we'll just end here, and then we'll definitely see you guys
in the next episode. Thank you for joining us on this episode of Live on Stereo. We hope you found our conversation insightful and inspiring.
If you enjoyed today's episode, please subscribe, share, or leave a review on your favorite podcast platform. Your feedback means the world to us.
Do well to follow us on all our social media platforms. See you in the next episode.